Have you ever walked away from a moment under pressure and thought to yourself, that's not who I want to be? You didn't plan to react that way. You didn't intend to say what you said. But when the pressure hit, you felt something rise up on the inside of you. Maybe it was frustration. Maybe it was defensiveness. Maybe it was irritation you had to manage in the moment. And in that moment, you realized something. Pressure has a way of pulling on things you thought you already dealt with. I've had moments like that too. Moments where pressure revealed something in me I didn't even realize was still there. In the last video, I talked about how growth creates gaps. When you grow, things that used to work in your life, they stop working. Old coping strategies stop working. Old reactions stop working. Old mindsets stop working. And those gaps usually show up when pressure hits, which led me to ask a question I had to be honest about. Why does pressure reveal the worst in me? Because what I realized in that moment changed how I see pressure completely. Most people think pressure creates the reaction, but that's not actually what pressure does. Pressure, it doesn't create character. Pressure reveals formation. Pressure exposes what is already inside of us. If patience has been formed in you, pressure reveals patience. If insecurity is still under the surface, pressure reveals insecurity. If pride hasn't been dealt with yet, pressure reveals pride. Pressure doesn't invent something new. It exposes the places where formation is still happening. I saw this really clearly this week. At work, I found a retirement error that went all the way back to 2014. I had to correct it. And when it was processed in the system, it pulled about $3,700 out of the employee's check. When someone sees that on their LES, panic makes sense. She was devastated. She was crying. She was worried about how she was going to pay her bills. And I felt the weight of that immediately because I was the one that found the error that had to be corrected. But what made that moment even heavier was this. When she called me, she wasn't just emotional. She was also challenging me. So I'm trying to hold space for the reality that this is a hard situation for her, while also standing in the truth of what was found and what had to be corrected. And that kind of moment creates pressure because now it's not just the facts, it's the emotions. It's the challenge in the conversation. It's trying to stay grounded while someone else is in panic. And if I'm being honest, I was already irritated. I had been dealing with frustrations with my daughter. So now there's pressure at work and irritation at home, all happening at the same time. In moments like that, it have a way of pulling on everything that's already inside of us. Now, the interesting part is this. I didn't react poorly in that moment. I stayed composed. I handled the situation. But internally, I could feel the pressure. The work situation, the challenge in the conversation, the emotional weight of helping someone through something difficult, and the frustration I was already carrying. Later that day, after my tour ended, I was praying. And the Lord brought this scripture back to my mind. 2 Corinthians 4, verses 8 through 9. We are pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. And that scripture reframed the whole day for me because the pressure wasn't there to destroy me. It was revealing what still needed formation in me. Was I going to let irritation lead me? Was I going to let frustration shape my response? Or was I going to allow God to form patience and composure in me right in the middle of that moment? Pressure exposed that choice. So instead of asking, why did that happen? A better question might be, what is pressure revealing about me right now? Is it revealing impatience? Fear? Frustration I was already carrying before the moment even happened? Or maybe it was revealing a place where growth has started, but formation isn't finished yet. Pressure stops being something that we fear. It becomes information. Because once pressure reveals something, now you know where God is still forming you. And if you watch the last lesson about why growth creates gaps, this is exactly where those gaps show up. Growth exposes them. Pressure reveals them. Pressure is going to keep showing up at work, in relationships, and at home. In moments where expectations collide with reality, but the goal isn't to eliminate pressure. The goal is to allow pressure to become a mirror that reveals where God is still forming something inside of you. Because over time, something begins to change. Where irritation once showed up, patience begins to grow. Where frustration once showed up, composure begins to grow. Where defensiveness once showed up, humility begins to grow. If these conversations about formation, pressure, and growth are helping you reflect on your own life, that's exactly why I'm sharing these videos. And sometimes when pressure reveals something in us, it also reveals a pattern we didn't realize we were carrying. That's what we're going to talk about in the next lesson. Pressure didn't come to destroy you. It came to reveal what God is still forming in you.